All right, do you want me to do the countdown? Hi guys, welcome to Denied Shifts. I'm Craig, and this is first time in a while.
Chris, also known as Tropical Punch.
Yeah. He did the line.
I know. I did the line. Doing something spicy, being a little different tonight.
He introed himself. We are both standing up while recording. That's something different. I think it's just.
I've been thinking about standing up. I didn't know what you'd say. Kind of waiting for you to stand up. You do it first, then I do it.
I did mention last week. I was like, I want to kind of stand up. I think it'll be more comfortable than sitting down all the time.
Yeah, definitely. Especially because sitting for long periods definitely hurts my butt. Hurts after a while.
I really hope that's not a sign that we're getting too old and that now we have to stand up every time we do things.
It's better for you to stand up. Way better. Gives more energy. It's way better for you to stand up anyway.
A standing desk is more comfortable too. So.
Yes. It's also good for work. Oh my God. It's so good for work.
The bad thing is if you're like me, sometimes you're just bouncing here while standing.
Yeah, I do that. I move. Keep the blood flowing. So if people see me moving left and right, I'll try to stay within my parameters. But if you guys see me moving around a lot, that's because I like to keep moving my legs. They get stiff or whatever. It's good for the blood flow. Feels good. It's good to move.
It is. And then I decided to chew gum before we started recording. That doesn't help.
Disgusting.
I know. But how'd your week go, by the way? What you been up to?
Work and iRacing. That's it. Working on rank. Driving GT3 at Daytona for the IMSA Open Series on iRacing this week. I tried Spa. That didn't go so well. I've had much better races at Daytona this week. Up 205 IR this week in the first 3 days.
Nice.
So keep going, pushing for 2K I rating.
Yeah.
Making the push. I know I'm a scrub. I'm a scrub, but I'm going to push for that 2K I rating.
I'm just surprised you don't have any fun stories from work.
It's IT. And then plus all the stories I would like to tell, I'd probably, if they ever found this podcast, I'd probably get fired. So I don't really want to tell any stories because I have nothing very favorable to say about any of the stories. Because I'm in IT, we deal with it. How was your week?
It's been a week. I don't know. I feel off this week just because my sleep schedule's been kind of off. I've been working late night. I think just working on proposals, trying to get things ready for 2025. Besides, I'm deep in the Christmas, December, basically calendar now of events with church and, prepping for Christmas Eve service. I have not this week. Next week I have the New Year's recording. So our church usually does. We will take the Christmas and New Year's holidays off, but the only Sunday service that falls in those breaks for us is going to be basically the New Year's. What would be the New Year's Eve or New Year's service? So I just got one service to record next week. Basically, we pre-record that one, and then I edit it down, and it's a special production for our church on that Sunday. But yeah, I mean, it just means I'm deep in that schedule because I have that. We have a preschool on campus as well, and they got their preschool Christmas, basically musical or event next Friday night as well. Women's ministry got something. It has a Christmas brunch is what they call it this Saturday, which works out for me. I get free breakfast out of this. So
I remember those preschool plays. Remember those?
Oh yeah.
Christmas.
It's fun. I mean, the kids are all cute and such, though. It's just a good time. Just kind of watch the kids all being cute with their families and such, or just on stage trying to sing Christmas carols or songs.
Yeah, it's hard to stay mad when you get to watch a production like that. Unlike Max, who was absolutely angry this past weekend at Qatar because of George Russell and the FIA stewards. Oh boy.
He qualified on pole at Qatar. By the way, Good transition there. Qualified on pole at Qatar for the main race. Obviously, we had the sprint race as well. He finished, what was it, 6th or somewhere around there. He wasn't on the podium for the sprint race.
I think it was 8th.
Yeah.
He got 8th, and during the sprint, it was 2 McLaren, Mercedes, 2 Ferrari, and then another Mercedes behind it.
The car was terrible during the sprint, and they made a massive change before going to qualifying the next day. Yeah. Qualified on pole, but got a 1-place grid penalty for driving too slowly or not driving at the minimum speed of the director's memo. Doing I believe he was on a cool down lap. Fernando Alonso, he let Fernando Alonso pass because Alonso, I think, was on a warm up lap. But he was also going slow. George Russell was also going slow on a cool down lap, but it was going a little bit quicker and was the one that made the complaint about Max going too slow. And it's not like Max was in the way. Max moved out of the way trying to give George the clearance, and he did. He gave George the clearance, but George decided to make a stinker and complain that it was too dangerous. So he got a 1-place grid penalty, which I don't think we've ever seen in Formula One before. That's from what even the commentator said. That's the first time anyone's been given a 1-place grid penalty in Formula One.
Then again, it's the first time Formula One's really ever had someone like George Russell who complains and cries about something that was really a big nothing burger. Yep. Like if Max stayed in your way and impeded you while you were going faster than him, then I would say, okay, maybe you have a case. But the fact that he got out of the way, allowing you to pass unimpeded, and then you go and say, oh, Max is too dangerous, bottle water, or give him a penalty.
And the other thing is, George Russell was also on a cool down warm-up lap, whatever it was. He was also going super slow. And maybe that's the speed Max needed to go, and before he sped up the rest of the lap. It was early on the track of the what you would consider a lap on the track. So it's not like we don't know if he was going to go too slow for the minimum, because it's not based on speed. What is it? A measurement of speed. It's based on time. That's how they measure the speed. The speed. So it's just how long you take to get around the track. And if you take too long, that means you were going too slow around the track.
Honestly, I think it's just politics. That I think it was just such a petty thing that he'd had to do. Plus, I know most F1 fans don't care for George Russell as it is, but then a lot of the other drivers on the grid were coming out with like, yeah, George is really that guy off camera. Like he'll put on the face for the camera, but off camera, he's like apparently like the biggest dickhead.
I mean, if Fernando Alonso said, if that's the case, then I'm just going to push the guy in front of me a little bit more. Then I'm just going to push a little bit harder on those slow laps, just to make the other guy, get a penalty. This is what it's going to be.
Yeah, I mean, even for Fernando Alonso, literally the unk on the grid, he's probably wondering like, what the hell, like why? He's like, this is fine. This has always been the way it is. But now that George Russell did this, and the FIA said, you know what, fine, 1-place grid penalty. Now that just set a precedent.
Yep.
That people are going to have to push more on a cool down lap because of this. Now there's a precedent that now that you've done this once, you have to do this every time.
Yeah,
every single time.
As if there's a strategy to cooling down now. So if there's an opportunity for the teams to be like, okay, yes, it's not going to be optimal for us to cool the car down if we push a little bit faster, but if it means someone else gets a penalty, do it, kind of thing. Like it makes no sense. Here's my opinion, and I get why Formula One has these cool downs, laps, kind of thing. It's to recharge the batteries, cool the tires down, things like that. But it almost feels better if they just go into the pit lane and then come out, kind of thing. I applaud NASCAR when it comes to their rule, when it comes to something like this, where they have 110% rule. Basically, you have to drive once you hit the racetrack, you have to drive at 110%, or which is basically 100%, right? The 110% is there for meaning like you need to push. And I applaud NASCAR for that because it has created safer conditions where teams, like if they're driving too slow, you pull below that line. At least they have banking or off track to go to. If not, you pull into the pit road, basically, and you get into the pit road. And you cool down on pit road. Don't be trying to cool down on the racetrack. I would like to see Formula One adopt something like that, and then IndyCar as well, like for qualifying, especially. Their start finish line for qualifying is before the pit entrance, which is also nicer because basically that as soon as they exit the pit, it's an entire lap before they get to the start finish line. In a sense, that's a warm up, and as soon as they hit that line, the timing starts. Run that full lap. All right. Once they get back to that line and they set their time, they literally pull into pit lane right away. So there's no time wasting going around the track just to go cool down the car as well. They save a lot more time doing it that way as well. And I think they also have 110% rule as well because they don't want cars going too slow on the racetrack.
Yeah, I mean, it's a hazard for cars going quicker. I mean, it makes sense, but to call this out when it was really nothing is, it almost makes it like you're like the crybaby, like you're literally nitpicking rules here. And then I think what was it after the sprint, Russell, I guess he had an interview and he was like, well, next year I want to bring the fight to Max. I'm going to be the driver to do it. I don't think you're not him. And if he is going to bring the fight to Max, he's going to bring the fight with regulations and penalties and rules. That's all he's going to do. He's not going to go wheel to wheel. He's not going to outdrive Max. What he's going to do is hammer Max's season with penalty after penalty after penalty, nitpicking every little thing he does to give him the biggest advantage possible through regulation and not through racing.
Exactly.
That's what I think he's going to do. I think next year Red Bull may not look very good, considering it's kind of, after losing Adrian Newey to Aston Martin, I feel like next year's kind of going to be like a really weird period for the Red Bulls, just in general.
They've lost a lot of engineers as well, not just Adrian Newey. They've lost a lot of people.
I think it's just going to be like a really quiet year from Red Bull. I think we're still going to see some performance from Max regardless, but it's going to be a very quiet year. And I think the 2025 year coming up is going to be kind of mid, only because there's going to be a lot of transitions before we get Audi in 2026, Cadillac in 2026. But I just feel like between 2024 and 2026, it's going to be a very, very weird season where we'll probably see more of McLaren, Mercedes, and Ferrari at the top versus Red Bull. I think it's just a pill that we all Red Bull fans like me or whoever likes Red Bull, whoever else is watching that likes Red Bull or listening that likes Red Bull. I think it's just going to be a tough year or just a hard pill for us to swallow next year that Max may not get his 5th WDC consecutively. It may just be that year. We can hope for the best, but just set your expectations low enough that it may not happen. But you can always hope that it does happen.
Well, and on the bright side is because regulations are changing for next year, and the cars are all homologated into next year and not till 2026, and the amount of restrictions, all the teams are expecting it's going to be a fight again. It's the same teams are going to be the top. Max is going to be in the mix there because they can't make any more really that many upgrades or that many adjustments to the car until 2026. So there's not going to be massive changes, not going to be massive shuffles. So we should see about the same. Max,
that's what I'm thinking.
Max did quoted in saying in response to this, the way the other driver handled George things during the stewards meeting yesterday, honestly, that made no sense. I think I have a lot of respect for other drivers, but after last night, I've definitely lost it for him. I just found it ridiculous how he tried to push for me to get a penalty. I was really pissed at him for that. The reporter asked, will you have a calm chat with George after this? Max, not right now. You know what it is. He acts very nicely here in front of the camera, but then when you're in person, in the stewards room, basically, it's just a completely different person. I can't stand that. Then it's actually better to just F off as well, to put it nicely, because I don't have to deal with that. And just as you said, like other drivers said the same thing that Max said to the reporters when he went to the media pit, that he's a different person on camera, and we see it. He's a very different person on camera. He acts a certain way, and then off camera, we hear all the stories. We see all the stories, and if anything, to me, the telling of who George Russell is recently, because it's funny, you and I both said the same thing. I think it was like 2 episodes ago, where we gained a lot of respect with George Russell and how he handles some situations, especially with Max and the FIA and some penalties that were coming forward, and Charles Leclerc and how they were talking and things like that. But there's times like this where it reminds of who George Russell really is. And like I was mentioning, the interview that he had recently, where he said, who would have thought, a kid from Williams would come out and beat Lewis Hamilton his first year in Mercedes, or would be a teammate with Lewis Hamilton and beat him in his first year as a rookie in Mercedes. Just speaks volumes of, I almost say, the arrogance that he has. And I think we're seeing the same thing, like with not just George, with other young drivers that are coming through. Like Liam Lawson is one of the best examples of that right now, where they have this prideful arrogance that I don't see it going long term great for the sport. If anything, we're watching a massive toxicity just grow internally with that sport.
Yeah.
And Max's, like Max's quote here, it feels like Max is saying, like, hey, like, if this is how it's gonna be, I'm done with it. And we know, like, we talked last week how Max was saying, like, he's ready to go do something else.
Yeah, he's he wants to go. I think there was a quote. I saw something on Twitter today, or X, whatever you guys want to call it. I saw something today from Helmut Marko talk about Max's like mood right now with Formula One, and that he would rather race. He really wants to do the 24 of Le Mans with his dad. That's something he really wants to do. Like, that's his.
While he still can.
Yeah, while he still can. Like, that's like his biggest like goal right now, is that he wants to race the 24 hours of Le Mans with his dad Jos, which I think is pretty freaking cool, despite, Jos dragging Max into this through nepotism and a lot of the horror stories we hear behind the scenes about his abuse to Max as he grew up, getting, basically turning him into the absolute racing machine that he is today.
Because Jos couldn't do it himself when he was in F1, the short period he was in F1.
So, thank you, Jos, for developing one of the greatest talents of a current generation. But
agree.
Damn you, Jos, for really the way you did it. The kind of the way you went about doing it. But I do think, outside of looking out past all, that past stuff that happened with Max in his youth, I do think that it's a really honorable and a really cool thing that Max wants to race Le Mans with his dad while his dad can still race. I think that's awesome.
Here's my question. What class would they race? Because what license does Yost have right now? Is he a bronze level driver? I don't think he's silver rated anymore, so I don't even know if he can do LMP2s.
If anything, I feel like they would do GT3. I mean, Max has the Ferrari, the GT3 Ferrari in DTM currently with the red line Red Bull liveries. He's got that stuff in DTM going on.
If it's a Ferrari, you're talking about Scusa Ferrari getting involved. And I don't know if Red Bull would allow that either.
I mean, yeah, you don't have to have Scuderia Ferrari get involved as long as you purchase the vehicle. You purchase the vehicle, it's your team. You're just driving the Ferrari.
No,
you're representing the manufacturer. You're not partnered with them.
They're still involved at that level because you're a customer, and the way the rules and regulations work with that.
I mean, Max is a customer for DTM.
But
yeah, it could just transfer right on over. If anyone, it was going to be Jos, Max, and I feel like Fernando Alonso, because I know Fernando does.
He wants to do it. He wants to do it with Max, so
I feel like that'd be a really cool team to watch.
But also, like, Yost has to get into a race car again, because even though he might have a bronze level, he hasn't raced in a long time. So I don't even know if his FIA license is up to date.
I think as Max's contract comes to an end with Formula One and where he's going to go after Formula One kind of becomes more clear, maybe we'll see more information, or either that or his dad will just be on the sideline. I don't know.
Daytona, please come to Daytona.
There's a lot of things Max can do, and I'm sure there's a lot of race series that are chomping at the bit for that contract to expire just to send him offers.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are teams in the WEC or IMSA that are chomping at the bit to get Max as a driver.
Oh, I bet you even V8 Supercars in Australia is wanting to get him as well.
Yeah.
Or
So
even
I
DTM.
I think Max still has a very long future in racing. He's still very young. Even when he gets out of Formula One, he's going to be my age, 31. He's going to be still really young, still have a lot to give in the sport.
Yep.
So that's something to look forward to. But there's also something I'm going to go off script a little bit with Cadillac. So some news broke with Cadillac and their power unit supplier for 2026. They're not going to make their own until 2028. Same thing with Audi. Audi's not going to have one until 2028 either, which is fine. But the talk now is that GM is partnering with Ferrari Power Unit.
Yep.
And if that falls through, Honda has already offered power units, which is funny because I predicted that they would either go with Honda. But the Honda Racing is kind of like a backup plan to Ferrari if that Ferrari power unit deal kind of falls through.
And Honda makes sense for them because Andretti's partnership with Honda in IndyCar as well. I don't see it any other way.
Yeah. So worst case scenario, Ferrari falls through. Honda is chomping at the bit to get a power unit into a Cadillac. And I also think that they were willing to, I think it was either Ferrari or Honda that was willing to even provide the suspension system for the vehicle as well.
Oh, interesting.
So it was a power unit and suspension system. It was either Ferrari or Honda. I'm sure that whoever's listening to this, if who's like, kind of following that news, can go on X and kind of find that information or go online and fact check me on that.
Yeah.
But I believe it's one or the other, but I do know that Ferrari is the main target for the power unit until 2028. And then Honda is kind of like the fallback.
Yeah.
But speaking of 2028 and those in the future of Formula One, let's talk about Zandvoort only extending the contract to 2026.
Well, it wasn't Zandvoort that only extended to there. It was really Formula One that said, hey, we're only going to be here till 2026. Wasn't it?
Yeah. I don't know. To me, what I read online was I kind of just skimmed it. It was very unclear what the real reason is.
No one seems to know. They haven't really given a reason.
I like Zandvoort as a track. I always thought that was a really cool track for them to race. So
it's a track with plenty of passing opportunities, and we see a lot more passing at Zandvoort than any other racetrack.
And a lot of interesting turns and curves and banks and stuff. It's a really, really interesting track.
One of the few F1 tracks that actually has banking on it.
I just don't know. I from what I skimmed, I couldn't really divulge or find anything that would make it clear why. I honestly don't see why they would just stop, and I don't know. I hope more information comes out about why Zandvoort or Formula One, whoever it was that extended the contract for like only another 2 years.
Yeah,
because you would think because that's the Dutchman's home, right? That's the Dutchman's home track.
And not only that, it's a legendary racetrack on the calendar. It's one of the few oldest racetracks on the calendar.
Yeah, you'll keep Monza, but you're gonna cut short Zandvoort. That seems a little weird.
You'll keep Monaco. Yeah, Monaco.
Not Monza, sorry, Monaco. Thank you. Monaco, not Monza. Monaco.
You'll keep Monaco on the calendar, which has no passing. Sport. Yes, it's an old racetrack, but it's in the same line as Zandvoort there, it's legendary racetracks.
Same thing with, I guess you could say Monza is also a legendary racetrack. To me, Monza is kind of boring. I feel like they should kind of just...
New Monza, I wouldn't... I would divide Monza in two things. New Monza versus the old Monza, which had the high bank, basically, oval part of the racetrack that they used to use. Yep. If they brought that back, oh my gosh, would that be amazing? But the safety, they would have to do upgrades. They'd have to do to the banking, and they have to redo the whole banking anyway. It's just degraded. So
yeah. So I don't know. For me, Monza's less exciting. I know it's a legendary track. It's old. It's been around for a very long time. It has a lot of history. But to me, I feel like Zandvoort is just far more interesting than Monza in terms of its layout, all the turns, the sweep. It's just so much more interesting. And even on a simulator, if you get to drive it, it is wild to drive.
So who takes over Zandvoort's place in 2027 and on?
I don't know. I know F1 is just hell bent on extending the schedule, so I don't know why they would remove a track that's like a staple to the calendar when they're all about let's extend the schedule, let's keep adding races.
I mean, because we're already back in China. Would they add Malaysia back to the schedule? Because we are not in Malaysia anymore. I know Formula One's talking to San Diego, California to do a street race in San Diego to bring back Formula One to San Diego.
You know what they should bring back? Watkins Glen.
That will never happen.
I know, but I know that back in the day,
it's too small. They would have to redo the entire pit road, and they're not going to redo the entire pit road to accommodate Formula One and how they do the garage pit stalls now, because pit road is perfect for NASCAR and IMSA now. So
I know, but I heard from like people that used to go there when the Formula One was still there that the F1 drivers loved that track. They were excited to go to Watkins Glen
with the boot, yeah. Which I mean, IndyCar and IMSA both race Watkins Glen with the boot. Yeah, I mean, everybody loves. Even NASCAR, even without the boot, NASCAR loves Watkins Glen. But I don't see that happening. I don't see them coming back there.
It's a pipe dream. They'll never go back. It's a pipe dream, but
they won't go there. They won't go back to Laguna Seca. They won't go back to Road Atlanta. They won't go back to Road America.
Well, I don't blame them for not wanting to go back to Road Atlanta with the uphill. Yeah, right. Nah.
At least that track is better built for F1 with the tight corners.
I can tell you right now,
the layout's better for Formula One.
Accidents will happen at the top of that damn hill. Accidents everywhere. Accidents everywhere. The rest of the track, fine for F1. That uphill.
What about Coda with their uphill? And they're not the only track with an uphill.
I know, but that track's in reverse. You have to drive it like technically backwards.
Counterclockwise?
Yeah, technically.
But still, it's an uphill with a sharp turn. And we see accidents there. But these are F1 drivers, and they avoid those accidents.
No, I'm telling you, man, Qatar was flat, and I saw quite a bit, so I don't know if they avoid anything. Saw quite a bit. A lot of retired vehicles. But yeah.
Where would you put Qatar then? Because that's the other thing is like, would you move Qatar?
Qatar should not be an F1 track. That is a MotoGP motorcycle track. That is not a race car track. That is for motorcycles. That is for sport bikes. The track is designed for sport bikes. I don't care what people say.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a terrible racetrack either.
No, it's not a terrible racetrack, but it's not meant for Formula One cars.
I think it's in the wrong place in the year as well. It's in a cold part of the year. Look, we're already in December, and we went to Qatar in December.
It's in the desert.
And
where would you put it?
What happens to a desert in winter? Look at what happened in Vegas.
What happens to deserts in the summer? They get cold at night.
Yeah, but not this cold compared to what they would normally be in the summer. I believe you put it in the fall, late summer, early fall, where the heat is not as bad. It's already kind of cut off a bit, but at least like at night, when you run the races at night, it's not going to be too freaking cold. Like at least Abu Dhabi, they run it into the sunset. They start with the sun at least. And so you have this track change conditions, which maybe they should do at Qatar. Maybe change the timing of the race as well.
No, because then all the drivers will complain about the heat and it's too hot and they don't feel good or this and that. And then it's just like let them race at night in the desert. Same thing with Vegas. I would never ask them to race during the day in Vegas.
Oh, I wouldn't ask them to race in the day unless it's November. If you're racing in November in the day, it's not hot at all. You're walking around with a sweater still for the most part.
Yeah. In the fall, sure. But I don't know. Qatar is just, to me, is not it's not a Formula One track.
Plus, Qatar and Abu Dhabi are like they're next to each other. They're in the Gulf, and literally like they're an hour or so away from each other.
I've always wondered why they always finish there. Why do they finish the last couple of races in the Middle East? I've always wondered that.
We basically start in the Middle East as well. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, I noticed that. I know. I've noticed it. I've
don't know
noticed it.
either.
I just don't know, like, why don't we ever just start, like, what if we started a season at Silverstone? Or what if we started a season at Suzuka? Or what if we started a season literally anywhere else?
I would love for us to finish the season at Suzuka, like in the old
Yeah,
days.
like, what if we started the season at a different circuit and then finished the season at a different circuit, but we added Qatar, Abu Dhabi, and Bahrain somewhere in the middle.
I understand it's because of the weather in those areas. Like in the middle of the season, it's the summer basically, and it's too hot. The other thing is Abu Dhabi and San Marino, I know was built the way that city was built as well as they were looking to be a big giant celebration and hub for F1. That's why even the Ferrari land is over there in Abu Dhabi. And they're the big giant Ferrari facility and the big giant roller coaster and what theme park, whatnot. That is for all Ferrari.
You think that'd be in Italy because it's Ferrari?
Hey, they had the money out there. They made a destination out there.
Hey man,
they had the money
talks.
and the land.
Yeah, money talks.
There's not much land in Italy to build a giant theme park. So
well if you flatten Monza and then you just build it right on top of Monza and you call it Monza theme park with water park.
You know, you're onto something. I think the Vatican needs to rethink their strategy and how they use their land.
I definitely think Ferrari needs to hold on. Wait. Oh, that's Ferrari on the line talking about some good ideas.
And when you call the Pope, hey Pope, I think you need a roller coaster in the Vatican.
That has to be Ferrari.
Imagine the Pope on a freaking roller coaster.
That'd be sick. It'd be wild.
Yeah, I don't know what you would do with the schedule at this point because Zandvoort, we know, is leaving. The last race is 2026. They, like you said, they want to expand the schedule. Like, this is one way to decrease the schedule back to 22 races.
But they want to expand the schedule, which I know.
Oh, wait, are we at 22?
I think we're at 20.
No, we're at 24. And they wanted to expand to 26, I think it was.
Right. So if you take away the one, you're going to be at 23. That means you have to add 3 more circuits.
So who are they talking to?
Who are you adding? Yeah. So who are you adding?
All right, here's my wish list. I would like to see Malaysia back on the calendar. I would like to see South Africa back on the calendar. What's another racetrack that I think those are my top 2 right now. I could think of that I would rather see back on the calendar. What's the other Japanese racetrack? Not Fuji. What was the other racetrack that?
Fuji, Suzuka.
That Formula One had been to.
Fuji.
Was it Fuji? Well, I don't know if I'd want to see them go to Fuji though.
It's a dangerous track for Formula.
I don't feel like, and I don't feel like it's a Formula One racetrack anymore. They reconfigured that racetrack, and so.
Yeah, it was Fuji and Suzuka. Fuji used to be a Formula One destination, and then I think eventually they stopped. When they stopped, I don't know, but they stopped. And then Suzuka became the primary Japanese track.
Yeah.
What about Bathurst?
That's not a Formula One racetrack anymore as well.
Danny Rick.
I mean, if they're gonna do something, take them back to Australia. We keep Melbourne, but add the Gold Coast to the schedule. Formula One hasn't been back to the Gold Coast, which is basically Northeast Australia, in a very long time.
There you go. Oh, so yeah, if you're going to get rid of Zandvoort,
and it's a street course on the next to the beach, basically on the beach.
That'd be cool, actually. That'd be kind of cool,
especially since Saudi's building a permanent racetrack. At this point, like I guess because they're going to get rid of the next to the beach in Saudi. Add another racetrack that's next to the beach because they're not going to come to Southern California. They don't want to come back to Long Beach. Neither does Long Beach want them to come back. There's not enough space for them to come back to.
Yeah, there's a lot of things. I just don't understand why you would get rid of a legacy track like Zandvoort. Even if it is Zandvoort's decision to only renew to 2026, and that's their decision. But if it's F1's decision as a company or a brand that, hey, we're only going to renew you till 2026.
Yeah.
That's scummy, and it doesn't make sense that they would remove that track, but you are gonna just meat ride Monaco. But then again, everyone knows that Monaco is where the moneymaker is because there's no taxes there. It's a tax haven. It's a rich person's place.
It's also home to most of the drivers.
Yep. Yeah.
Most of them live there.
Yep. Charles was born there. Lewis lives there. Max lives there. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of drivers that live there. So it's like literally like it's a hub. So
who would you? What tracks would you add? Would you want to revisit any racetracks, or would you want to see something new?
Give me something new, and don't give me a street circuit. Give me like a new circuit. I don't know. I want to see one in Australia. I think they should definitely have one in Australia.
I mean,
considering they have Australia, yeah, two races in Australia. That'd be nice.
They'd both be street courses in this sense, but
because I think the U.S. races are kind of Coda's cool. Vegas, I'm warming up to it. I still don't care for it, but it's growing on me, sort of like a tumor. But
I'm kind of hoping if they do bring San Diego into the F1 calendar, they just get rid of Vegas.
No, get rid of
Miami.
Yes,
but then you got 2 West Coast and a Central, and no East Coast races.
That's fine.
At that rate, let's go back to Watkins Glen, like you said.
No, that's fine. We can have it in the Central and West. If the East Coast circuits are represented by Miami, that's pathetic. That's like they don't speak for the rest of us. That track is that's sad. That's a sad event. Remember the fake water they had there? Oh man,
with the yachts.
Yeah, it was like some propaganda. Like we have yachts and stuff here.
They only
did
that the first year. They didn't bring it back the second year.
Still, like, come on, you set the bar. They said, listen, first impressions are everything. And
I don't mind Miami. It's not. I think they could fix some things on the racetrack a little bit. I think I believe Miami has potential. The amount of money they've been pouring into it as well. The ownership group at Miami has been pouring into that to building a racetrack around the football stadium has been something else. The hospitality at Miami is also something else, where the entire football field is basically the paddock and hospitality area.
Now, what if they ended at Vegas under the city lights at Vegas?
I mean, that would make sense. The way this championship ended as well, like it makes sense to have it in Vegas.
Yeah, they get like the fancy limo rides and stuff. Exactly. Like, that'd be kind of cool. That'd be kind of dope. Then you have the big dome too that you could do stuff with for the celebration or whatever. But I don't know. They need
good luck trying to get through that Middle Eastern money.
Yeah, we can't compete with that.
All right,
there's no way.
What's on your wish list? All right, new tracks. What countries are on your wish list?
Australia.
I don't think they have the money to build a permanent purpose track.
You said what's on my wish list, not what's reality. Wish.
I'm just surprised Malaysia's not on your list there because they actually have a purpose track.
I want another Australia, South Africa. That'd be cool to see one in Africa. And then here's a really far-fetched one. Brace yourself. Egypt.
2 African countries. Let's go.
Dude, Egypt. I would love to see a race in Egypt. I know that it'll never happen. That's my wishful thinking, but I think it would be really cool to have like a race in Egypt. Imagine the livery designs.
Imagine it with the weather. We're talking.
Oh, the weather would be awful. You have to do it at night. But just think though, the livery designs though. Damn, the creative like ancient Egyptian designs. That'd be so cool.
And if they did it near a race near the Nile or near the Mediterranean Nile, that would be a location.
That'd be cool.
Have you ever seen any of the old clips of the South Africa race?
No.
The South African racetrack is a great racetrack. It's a fun racetrack to watch racers, and I think it would be a great race for Formula One to be at. The only reason it's off the calendar is because, of course, of politics and corruption, and basically South African corruption over there that forced the track to be pulled from the calendar years ago.
Yeah.
But I mean, they've revitalized the racetrack in the last 3 years. They completely renovated it and such. And I think it deserves to be back on the calendar. I want to see South Africa back on the calendar. I think we both in agreement. That's one racetrack like that he hasn't seen.
I haven't seen it, and I would like to see it, but it's also like we have races in all the other
countries
all over the world, but then we see Africa with no races. There's not a single scheduled Grand Prix in Africa.
Ooh, what about Argentina? Have you heard about that rumor? I think that popped up recently too, like in the past week or so.
I don't know why.
Who is still looking for a ride, by the way?
I know, that's sad.
Red Bull decided to pass on him.
Yeah, after the wall incident.
And so did Alpine. Alpine and a few other teams decided to pull their consideration from him.
I don't know. What if we did? Well, if I had another wishful one, it'd be Greece.
I just don't see Greece being a place that could host a fun racetrack.
Did you give them a shot?
Sure, if they have money and they weren't bankrupt, but yeah, sure.
Well, like I said, these are wishful thinkings. These would be cool to see in other parts of the country, because I feel like we go everywhere else and we just avoid Africa and then like a little bit of the Mediterranean. We kind of just, we're going to go around you. It's like, what if they were there? What if they literally could go like right to left across the map, or left to right, or out in whatever direction, bounce around? Like, that'd be cool. But this is Formula One we're talking about. They do whatever they want. They live in their own
Let's go to Jordan and Israel.
Might not be the safest place to race at the current time.
I mean, the same thing with Saudi, but
none of those out there are the safest at this current time in the world.
No, we'll see. I mean, I don't know. I think we're all kind of.
What if they had a circuit of? What if they had the Spartan GP? Like at Sparta, they had like a Sparta GP. Dude, they have a turn called Leonidas. Yo, they have another one called the 300. Dude, I'm telling you, man, big money ideas up here. Dude, that'd be so cool, though.
Achilles heel.
Dude, my large cranial cap. Hell yes, sir. That's right, sir.
Just name off a bunch of Greek stuff, basically.
Yeah, Sparta. Dude, that'd be sick. I'm going to go to the Sparta GP. Dog. Dude, let's go. We're going to go to the Thermopylae GP.
Versus the Egypt GP.
Dude, Egyptian EP, the Gaza Grand Prix. Dude, that has such a nice ring to it. It flows right off the tongue. The Gaza Grand Prix. No, wait, that's the wrong place. I'm stupid.
Yeah, wrong
location. Yeah, Israel. That's the wrong location. Damn it. I'm thinking the Mediterranean still. Egypt.
Cairo.
Ooh.
Pharaoh GP.
No, it'd be the Cairo
GP.
I'm thinking of Cairo. That'd be kind of cool.
What if we went to Nigeria? Madagascar.
There you go.
Wasn't Madagascar rumored to be wanting to host a race too at one point?
I think that was a rumor. Madagascar.
I don't know where you stick the track on that racetrack. That's like super mountainous and hilly,
and forests too. Yeah. Jungle.
There's not enough flatland, or it's really hard to have flatland. And the flatland that is there is in the middle of a freaking dormant or basically non-active volcano now.
Dude, that'd be more exciting. Pompeii. The Pompeii GP.
How many Italy racetracks do we need to have?
Oh, we'll trade Monza for Pompeii. We'll make a trade. We'll swap it out.
Would you? All right. On that note, would you take out the French GP?
I guess. I don't know. I don't think we need one there. Do we? Why? Because Alpine's on the grid? Oh, well, if we have cattle, I mean, we do have two. We have 3 races. Yeah,
but I mean, I'm not a fan of that racetrack either. That's my thing with it. I think France could have done better when it came to racetracks. I think there's better options in France than that track.
Like Egypt.
I was speaking in France, but okay.
Oh.
In Egypt, there's plenty of desert. We have plenty of space to build.
Yeah, we could just bulldoze the pyramids, find out what's finally under them, and put a track right there. That'd be cool though. If you put a track around the pyramids and raced around it, that'd be kind of cool. Dude, that'd be sick. I'm telling you, I would try to make every effort to get out there and watch that live. That'd be sick.
You probably end up tanking the illegal tourism charges that happen at the pyramids. But who cares?
Yeah.
You're doing a service.
Damn. But speaking of like Western civilization, what about Amplify's Overwatch update? Because apparently they've been doing things.
Yep, and their match finished not too long ago, actually. They just beat Iliad Artemis 3-1. We did get knocked down to lower bracket yesterday, losing 3-1 to Alt Spartans. Speaking of Spartans, Alt Spartans yesterday. But that's fine. I mean, we advanced into round 4 of the lower brackets. We made semifinals of the upper bracket, or yes, we were semifinals of upper bracket, basically of the entire bracket. That's basically quarterfinals. Lost that match, went down lower, but that's fine because lower, I think we could run the table in lower bracket and make it into grand finals. The team was off yesterday because the match got rescheduled. And if you ask my opinion when it comes to reschedule matches, we don't have the best luck, and I hate it, especially when you're on a momentum. I would have been declining and been like, no, you play on the scheduled match. Like, don't try to reschedule this. You knew the schedule had in advance as well, especially for playoffs. You know what the schedule is in advance. So your team and players should have figured out their own calendar and schedule kind of thing. Like, if you guys can play, like, hey, you shouldn't have been playing at all. We knew what the schedule was going to be well in advance. So, is what it is kind of thing. I'm bitter in that sense where it's like we could have won. We could have beat All Spartans as well. They're not a team that I fear, really. They're great players on that roster. All great young players. But when you're comparing to our current roster as well, like I don't fear them the same as I would fear maybe Nightmare Rotation right now. And Nightmare Rotation is who we're expecting to be in the finals. The other team that looks really strong is Blast Off Bloods. But we'll see. They did just beat Iliad Artemis, so they should be facing. Let me find out. Because the bracket should have just updated. Tanuki Tapir on December 7th. And guess what? We knocked them down to lower brackets early in the bracket. So it's favored to us. Ooh, and I am surprised that Blast Out Buds lost 0-3. That is very interesting. Oh, yeah. I mean, I guess at this point, we're probably facing a rematch against All Spartans in losers bracket finals and a chance to make grand finals. I don't think I have to worry about Tanuki as well. Oh, we didn't beat Tanuki. We didn't play them, but they did get knocked down. So either way, I'm confident in players to finish. Like our motto is finish the job, basically, and that's what we're gonna go out to do, is to finish this job. And that's not just make top 4 or top 2. It's to freaking win this darn thing. I know the players want to win it really bad, and so we're hoping for that. Yeah, so
Nice.
that's the FACEIT League update. Extra division. Any plans for you for this weekend?
Nah, mini moon. Nope, just gonna get away. Won't have any tech with me other than a phone.
So you're not gonna watch the race this weekend?
Is the race Saturday or Sunday?
Technically Saturday for us, right?
I mean, I have my phone. I'm still gonna have my phone on me, but so I can watch it on my phone.
Well, none of us got our picks right from Qatar.
Yeah, absolutely butchered.
Yep. You had Leclerc, Russell, Sainz. How many of those actually ended up on the podium this weekend?
Leclerc.
Like, and I had Russell, Piastri, Sainz.
Piastri made it. We each had one person that made it. We had one person that made the podium at least. There we go.
The two drivers we had in common, Russell and Sainz, didn't show up.
It was Max, Piastri, and Leclerc. Damn. This week, though,
Abu
gotta
Dhabi
get with
season
it.
finale. Who do you got?
Max number 1, baby. But after
Figure.
this weekend, Max number 1. Russell number 2, Leclerc 3.
We are sticking with Russell. I'm torn on this one. I'm gonna probably agree with Max number 1. I'm gonna say Hamilton 2.
He's checked out, man.
I know he's
done.
I know he's checked out, but we're talking about Abu Dhabi here. How many Abu Dhabi races has he basically been out of?
And what did he do in Qatar? What did he say before Qatar? That he's slow, this, and I'm retiring the car. Can I retire the car? He's done with Mercedes. He is done. The season for him is
frustrated with
done.
that penalty, basically.
The season for him is kaput. He just wants to get to Ferrari.
Because my only other thing would be like, okay, maybe I put Norris in that spot, but then
There
I'm
you
like,
go.
I don't know if I feel confident with Lando Norris either, though.
I would be more confident with Norris than Hamilton, only because the McLaren is fast in turns, and there'll be plenty of that.
All right, I'm gonna do something also strange for third. Hulkenberg. Did you see Kevin Magnussen's tweet this week?
Why are you the way that you are?
So,
giving them hope.
Kevin Magnussen said that this week is all about Hulkenberg. Like everything's in for Hulkenberg to get his first podium.
Damn. Ooh, foreshadowing. Ooh.
The fact that even Kevin Magnussen is gonna do what he can to help Hulkenberg get there.
Bump draft.
Imagine.
Dude, Haas is going to come out.
Let me block everyone in the field for you.
Hey, Russell, call the stewards. I'm going to drive real slow now.
Hey, Russell, warn the stewards. I'm going to be a pin missile through some of these corners as well.
Hulkenberg.
I'm just going to pick Hulkenberg because I just want to. I'm being hopeful that Hulkenberg finally is there. I'm still not convinced I want to stay with Lando Norris, but
you're convinced you want Hamilton. Oh God, my camera freaked out. Awaken.
I think they're going to try and send him off.
Oh yeah, right.
No.
I think a part of Mercedes is bitter he's leaving, and the way the news broke to them about him leaving, they're still bitter about it. Will they finish the season? They'll try to finish it strong for him, sure. But what is he? He just wants to be on Ferrari. He just wants to be in the Ferrari suit, the Ferrari uniform, and the Ferrari car. He has checked out of Mercs for the season. He's gone. He's packed his bags. In fact, he could go into the VIP section and watch the race at this point. Like, he's done. Just go home. Go on vacation. You're done. You don't want to be there. It's quite apparent you don't want to be there. You're just there just to see it through. And that's good and all, but you're done. Admit that you're done. All the focus on Mercs is on Russell right now. That's why I don't have confidence in Hamilton. All the focus is on Russell because Russell's the future of Mercs in terms of being the first seater.
You know what? I'm going to change this. I'm not going to go Norris. I'm going to go with a Ferrari.
Bottas. Valtteri Bottas.
I said Ferrari.
So?
I'm going to go Carlos Sainz.
Got it. Sainz.
And he's spell checking me. That's not how you spell science, but okay.
The B is silent. And the Otis is also, yeah. The Otis is silent.
It's actually just an acronym for science.
Signs. Fine.
I think Sainz is the one driver that will send himself off and as best way he can.
That's the driver. If there's any driver on the grid right now that's going to send himself off into a blaze of glory, it's going to be Sainz. He's the only driver that wants to be like, hey, Ferrari, you messed up.
Yep. And Ferrari car is great right now, so it's really you have to try hard to lose in a Ferrari.
Yeah. So it's like
Leclerc. I'm just being honest.
I mean, Sainz.
That's another topic.
Yeah. If this was a race for Sainz to say, "Lol, Ferrari, best wishes on your future endeavors," this is the race to be like, you could have kept me in this great car, but you decided to axe me.
Yeah.
Yeah, this would be the race for Sainz to stick it in Ferrari's ass. This would be the race to do it.
Thanks for staying with us. We hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys are not already, please subscribe to the channel. Turn on that bell so you get the notifications as well to know when a new episode comes on. Also, by the way, you guys, this is all podcasted on YouTube, so you could actually download the YouTube podcast app and you could listen to us while you drive or while you're working out, or you could watch the podcast episodes on your TV. So that's a good reason why to subscribe to us, so that way you get those notifications and you get our podcasts automatically. Also, you can follow us on social media. All our social media accounts for Chris and I and Amplify are listed in the description below. But again, thank you for staying with us, and we will see you guys again for episode 7. We only have a few more episodes before the end of the year and our Christmas winter break. Basically, I think we're down to 2-3 more episodes before the winter break. And then after that, we'll be back just in time for Daytona. So, yeah, we'll see you guys next week.
All right.
See y'all.
See you next week. Bye.
Jog it out. Jog it out. Jog it out.